Do you want to see what happens when you're a teenage girl that's really into horses and also really into 21 Pilots? I found this recently. I've made this when I was a teenager. This is a horse that I've made in my youth. As you can see, it has Tyler Joseph's tattoos. This is a Tyler Joseph horse. Is somebody gonna match my freak? And by freak, I mean giving Tyler Joseph a horse-sona. I don't think so. Anyway, so today we're tackling another request of mine, and basically this person is saying that I could make a whole bunch of videos like tying up the loose ends and stuff that we don't really go into. And I agree, there's a lot of stuff that we kind of collectively look over or not really dig into, or it's just like, oh, that was a thing, why was that? I think a good way to start this off is to talk about the black goop, okay? The black paint that we see in Message Man Live. Now, for those of you not aware, the recent performances of Message Man include this weird ritual-looking thing going on. You know, in times like these, it's really hard to beat the cult allegations. Yeah, there's not much I can say there. I remember when this first happened, there was a lot of people wondering why this was included in the show, because obviously the paint is associated with Blurryface, who is not a good character. So why is Tyler or Clancy purposefully, willingly putting the paint on himself? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Hopefully this will give you more insight as to why this was maybe included in the show. These are just my thoughts and my ideas using the evidence that we know. But let's get into it. First, I want to talk about the song in which this black paint appears in. And that is, of course, Message Man. Right from the get-go, this song with the yeah yeah yeahs and the no no nos represent a very torn Tyler. You can see in this song that Tyler is dealing with these two halves of himself. You know, using words like mask of my disguise and you don't know what I've done and you don't know my heart and you don't know my brain. This shows that maybe Tyler in this song is leaning into the darker side of himself, or at least acknowledging that it exists. I think the black paint in question is what this represents. It is Tyler accepting those darker parts of himself as he explores in Message Man. This is not the first time that we have actually seen this like tub of paint before, but it is kind of the first time that we see what it's used for. We have seen paint like this in the Nico and the Niners music video, along with what appears to be like some sort of church, some sort of temple. Of course, that this is some sort of temple, some sort of ceremony for vialism. No good, no bueno. Along with these bowls of paint, we can also see statues who are in a very similar stance as to how Tyler is on stage when he puts the paint on himself. This is also very similar to the stance that we see when seizing happens. I don't know, it must be a thing in Dima. You just put your hands over your head very dramatically. So because this is seen in some sort of vialism temple in Dima, we can only assume that Tyler is performing some sort of vialism ritual on stage. Again, cannot defeat the allegations. I can't. Cooked, bro. We're cooked. We're cooked, clickies. We can't fight this. But what is interesting is that it seems like only the bishops are conducting these rituals. They're also the only ones that appear to have black paint on their hands and neck, which I've said in a previous video that I think Clancy might be a bishop, or at least half a bishop, to explain his powers. Maybe this is what this is, like Clancy realizing that, you know what, maybe I am bishop-like, maybe I have these powers because, you know, I got a little bit of an edgy side to me. But going back to Message Man and now knowing that this might be some sort of bishop-specific ritual, there's this whole idea of Message Man of, you don't know who I am, you don't know what I'm capable of, you don't know the real me. And maybe in some sort of way, this is the real Clancy. See, the paint itself, the black hands and black neck, represent what it's like to deal with insecurities, to deal with anxiety and depression. It feels like you are choking, hence, you know, the black hands and neck. This is something that we all deal with. We all have a blurry face. We all have feelings that we don't want to admit that we have. But ultimately, we all have struggles. Not to get into my psychology education, yes, I have a psychology degree, if I haven't made that abundantly clear. Just look at my YouTube channel. I think I've made it obvious that I study psychology, but you know. A huge step in beginning to deal with these issues and to fight your battle is literally just accepting that they exist in the first place. Which sounds easy, I know, but a lot of people just want to run away from the problems and deny and be like, I'm perfectly fine, what are you talking about? But if you're constantly running away from these feelings, you'll never properly deal with them. Which I think this is what Clancy is doing by putting the paint on himself. He's no longer running. He's no longer trying to avoid these issues. Instead, he's accepting that these are a part of him to begin fighting them. The first step to recovery is acceptance, and I really do mean that in a lot of ways. What's really more interesting about this live performance is that not only is Clancy or Tyler accepting the darkest parts of himself, but he's also pointing out to the crowd that they also deal with a blurry face. See, during this live performance, once he puts the paint on himself, he slings it. He purposely slings it into the crowd. And I was there one time and I got a speck of it on my pants, and that paint does not come out. It does not come out. Which in a way I didn't want it to, because it's always a little constant reminder. I look down at my pants and I'm like, oh yeah, that's when Tyler threw paint at me. But lovely memories. But Clancy, or Tyler, I don't know how to refer to him at this point, is throwing paint onto the crowd. He is marking the crowd as well. Not only did he mark himself, but he marked everyone around him, signifying that everyone has a blurry face and everyone has their own battles. And it's learning to accept that and take on that fight directly than denying that it was ever there to begin with. There is a huge major theme in Clancy. If you look at Backslide compared to Snapback and even Oldie Station, there is this major theme of recognizing that this is just how things are. You can't make this problem go away permanently, but rather it's a constant cycle. And while that does kind of sound doom and gloom, Tyler also recognizes that while this is a constant cycle, it is a fight that we should not give up. I believe this Message Man performance was the beginning of that acceptance, the beginning of understanding that this doesn't go away. Clancy putting the black paint on himself symbolizes that he is ready to take on this fight. He is ready to take on the darkest parts of himself. And then as we get into the Clancy album, we can see that Tyler has fully recognized this cycle and has understood that there's parts of him that he just can't get rid of completely. But through his songs and through this paint ritual, whatever you want to call it, not only is Clancy recognizing the darkest parts of himself, but also reminding us that there's a dark side to us as well. Everyone has a blurry face. And if you yourself are currently struggling with your blurry face, I believe in you, okay? We're all going through it. We've all made our trips to Dima, but you got this. So yeah, there you go. There were my thoughts and kind of my interpretation for this weird thing that happened on a stage multiple times. If you have any more weird kind of things you want me to analyze and get into, please leave a comment below. If you liked the video, please hit like and subscribe. As always, I will see you in the next one.